The largest crowd in the history of the Alabama International Motor Speedway. Over 100,000 people have gathered for the 11th annual Alabama 500, hoping to see the kind of door-to-door finish that Talladega has become famous for. Welcome to Talladega, Alabama, the home of the world's fastest speedway. 42 drivers today will be chasing $315,000 and each other around this 2.66-mile tri-oval. The drivers run flat out all the way around at Talladega, not just in the 3,400-foot backstretch, but in the 5-story high bank turns as well. For stock car drivers and fans alike, this is the ultimate celebration of speed. This is the 11th annual Alabama 500. I'm Mike Joy, and covering the action with me today for Motor Racing Network is two-time Grand National driving champion, Ned Jarrett.
Well, Mike, it's the fastest field in auto racing history here today, and the man who put together the car that won the pole at over 197 miles an hour is Hoss Ellington. David Pearson, of course, will be driving it. Hoss at 197 miles an hour. Can you put together a car that will run 500 miles?
I hope so, Ned. You know, David Pearson, he'll take care of the car, and I think my boys have really put a good engine together for race day. I feel like that we can run that. We're going to be running some speeds about over 200 during the race, and I think we'll be in good shape.
Well, pit stops are so important here. The car travels at the rate of a football field per second. Every second in the pits is going to count.
That's true, Ned, and I think my team is, my crew is always going to be well prepared for this race, and I think we'll be in good shape, and, I think we'll be in good condition.
What are your final words to David Pearson?
Stand on it, turn left.
Well, that's about what all of them say. It's going to be a fast race, Mike.
In auto racing, it seems the driver gets all the glory. But racing is as much a team sport as baseball or football. So as we look at the front runners, let's meet the men responsible for putting these cars at the front of the field. Bud Moore of Spartanburg, South Carolina. His Fords have 4 Talladega victories. This Mercury will carry Bobby Allison, the defending Alabama 500 champion. On the left, Maurice Petty, Dale Inman. Co-crew chiefs of car number 43 for stock car racing's all-time winner, Richard Petty of Randleman, North Carolina. The master of speed at Talladega, Harry Hyde, who dodges and now an Oldsmobile that will sit in the 5th row for Ty Scott, up-and-coming young driver from Penargil, Pennsylvania. Claude Queen, first year as a crew chief for car number 71, but they won the pit crew championship at Atlanta for driver Dave Marcus of Wausau, Wisconsin. A pickup team for car number 68, Ray Kelly, is the first-time crew chief on this Oldsmobile. The driver, Lenny Pond of Chester, Virginia, drove the fastest 500 in Talladega history 2 years ago. David Ift is the crew chief for the MC Anderson Oldsmobile that'll carry Benny Parsons and start from the 6th position. The Wood brothers of Stewart, Virginia, Glenn and Leonard, have also won at Talladega 4 times. Their Mercury will carry hometown driver Hueytown's Neil Bonnet. Jake Elder has prepared winning cars for most of the drivers now at the top of the circuit. This Olds will carry 1979 Rookie of the Year Dale Earnhardt of Kannapolis, North Carolina, already a 2-time winner this year. Robert Glenn Jr. Johnson, a legend in his own right as a driver, now he prepares the Oldsmobile for Cale Yarborough, the 1978 winner of the Alabama 500. Here's the team that won the Daytona 500. Car owner Harry Renier with Waddell Wilson, crew chief, and their Oldsmobile on the outside pole, with hard-charging Buddy Baker of Charlotte, North Carolina at the wheel. Hoss Ellington won here in 1977. His Oldsmobile is on the pole at 197.7 miles per hour. The driver, David Pearson, stock car racing's all-time super speedway winner. Talladega, Alabama, the home of the world's fastest speedway, where 100,000 sun-drenched race fans are waiting for the Grand Marshal to give the command. The The crowd roars to life, as do 42 race cars on pit road.
A lot of horsepower built into those cars, Mike. 42 of them as they fire up, ready to go for 500 miles. A lot of excitement on pit road. The crew chiefs giving their drivers their last-minute instructions, and they hate to walk away from those cars. They worked on them all week to get them ready for this race.
Well, the last of the locker room speeches are concluded. Now it's time to watch the teams take to the field. The fans come to their feet as they watch the two sleek, swift Oldsmobiles of David Pearson and Buddy Baker roll out. Pearson qualifying at an incredible 197.7 miles per hour to share the front row with Daytona 500 winner Buddy Baker. Cale Yarborough in the second row with Dale Earnhardt, already a two-time winner this year. Neil Bonnet led a good part of this race last year. Lenny Pond and Dave Marcus, two dark horse winners in Talladega's past. Ty Scott with Richard Petty, the sport's all-time winner. Last year's winner, Bobby Allison, is in the sixth row.
And we see Darrell Waltrip way back in the seventh row, Mike. He's got a tough row to hoe to get up to the front runners.
The first of the rookies, Jody Ridley, shows up in the ninth row ahead of Lake Speed in row number 10. And way back in 29th position in row 15, Jim Vandiver is still shaking his head that he ran 190 miles an hour, and it was only good for 29th position. Marty Robbins, the country and western singer, is back in 36th starting spot. As James Hilton, another dark horse Talladega winner, will complete the field. Ned Jarrett had a chance to talk with a pole sitter before they rolled out.
You're always so relaxed around the racetrack. Did you have to work at it to get to be that way?
I guess, yes. I guess I would have to say that. I know that during the races, and I've got to where that, you know, that I would be tensed up, maybe chasing somebody or running close to somebody, and I'd find myself getting hot, you know, and sweaty and really tensed up. So I just asked myself, I ain't no need doing that. You know, you got 500 miles to go and stuff like that. So I would just kind of would relax, you know, and I found out that if you can train yourself to relax, you'll be better off.
How could he be relaxed, Ned, when he's got about to drive that car at 200 miles an hour?
Well, that's his job, Mike, and certainly he does have to talk himself to get himself to relax in that condition.
Well, Buddy Baker seems to have nails for breakfast the morning before a race.
He is certainly one of the more tensed up drivers. He's hard to talk to before he gets in that race car, but once he straps himself in, they say that the butterflies and all the tenseness leaves them.
Two very contrasting ideas about being on the front row as they head up into the banking of turns 3 and 4. The fastest field in stock car racing. When they link up in those 20-car freight train drafts, they should be able to run 200 miles an hour every lap around Talladega's high banks. Crowd on their feet and pressed up against the fence as the field closes up, awaiting the start. Heading into the short chute, 1,200 feet to the trioval, and then a 600-foot dash to the start-finish line, where the honorary starter, Don Brown, holds the green flag. Field bunched together tightly, slowly rumbling down through, and the green flag is out. Heading for turn 1, 1,200 feet away. Baker on the outside. They're 3 and 4 wide heading into the first turn. Baker keeps the car low through the 5-story high banking of turn number 2. With Pearson second, Earnhardt third, and Yarborough slipping into line in fourth, but behind them they're 16 cars deep and still 2 abreast.
And it looks like rush hour on the freeway, Mike, as each driver tries to get just the right position.
Into turn 3, and Pearson takes the lead. Earnhardt tries to follow him through, but Baker shuts him off. Battling for fourth are Bonnet and Yarborough, and for sixth spot, Lenny Pond and Benny Parsons.
Neil Bonnet has one of the best drafting cars in the field with the Mercury.
Into the short chute, heading for the trioval. It looks like Pearson will lead the first lap, but no! Baker comes down the inside, and Dale Earnhardt outside. They stream around Pearson. It is Baker at the line. Heading for turn 1, Earnhardt has the steam and the high side of the racetrack. Baker, though, handles on the bottom and holds the lead. Earnhardt drops into second. Neil Bonnet is third. Cale Yarborough is fourth, and Pearson has been kicked back out of the top 5. Into the backstretch, single file running. Pearson drops his snout down low for sixth spot, but this is Earnhardt going for the lead and getting it at turn 3. Coupled together like a 3-car train, Neil Bonnet works underneath Baker to take the second spot. Yarborough has third. Baker trying to storm back on the outside.
Out of turn 4, single file, heading for the trioval. Then they break formation. Baker and Pearson looking to the high side. Earnhardt, though, holds the line and the lead to the stripe. Into turn 1, it's Earnhardt, followed by Neil Bonnet. Buddy Baker in third, Cale Yarborough is fourth. Out of turn 2, Earnhardt trying to open up a little breathing room, but there is scarce chance for any margin here at Talladega. Down to the inside, darting out of the pack goes Buddy Baker. He runs for the lead again at the end of the back straightaway and dives under Earnhardt at the turn.
And he has the help of Cale Yarborough riding right on his bumper, and that tends to work the draft so that it gives Baker more momentum.
Yarborough doesn't have the steam and drops back in fourth spot. Baker, to get out of turn 4, has to side up to the wall and hold second behind Earnhardt. Into the trioval. Stayed pretty much single file, but for Pearson, running in fifth spot on the outside, they drop back in line for the run to turn 1.
11 cars have broken away from the rest of the field, running in the lead draft.
Car number 2, Dale Earnhardt up front. Baker, Silver Machine is second, the 21 of Bonnet. Rides third ahead of Cale Yarborough's number 11. Single file in the backstretch. It's Baker again, down to the inside, trying to draft by Earnhardt, and they leave him standing halfway down the backstretch as Baker, Bonnet, and Yarborough fight their way underneath. But once again, Yarborough doesn't have the muscle.
No, he doesn't, Mike. He's good at drafting, but he just is not able to go all the way to the front.
Caution is out on the racetrack. They race back to the start-finish line. Neil Bonnet trying to jump underneath Baker to grab the lead at the caution flag. Bonnet has the low side, and it looked to have the lead by about 6 inches.
No more than 6 inches, but I believe he did have the lead. Buddy Baker, however, has gone back out front, but we'll see the NASCAR officials will probably put him back up there.
Up in turn number 3, the NASCAR observer is checking for debris on the racetrack that brought out the caution flag. The field has been throttled down to 80 miles an hour. It comes around slow under the yellow flag. Buddy Baker will drop back in line behind Neil Bonnet, who beat him to the yellow flag by some 6 inches. That's the way they run to the stripe here at Talladega.
We've even seen races finish that close here, Mike.
One car diving onto pit road. An unexpected stop. It is Darrell Waltrip.
And this is definitely an unscheduled pit stop. It's too early for him to be coming in. Buddy Parrott and the crew go to work, and they're going under the hood. This is definitely a bad sign this early in the race as Buddy Parrott checks the exhaust to see if it is burning well.
Waltrip qualified a disappointing 13th, but was expected to be up with the front runners. Neil Bonnet leads Buddy Baker around.
And Darrell Waltrip's car being taken into the garage area. They'll see if they can make repairs on it and get it back in the race.
And we'll be back in a moment. Mike Joy with Ned Jarrett at the Alabama 500. Here's the way they're running as we're set to go back under the green flag. Neil Bonnet comes off the fourth turn looking for the green flag to wave with a 6-car length lead. Buddy Baker in the second spot has about 5 car lengths back to Cale Yarborough in third. Bonnet into the number 1 corner, and Baker has narrowed the margin and goes for the lead.
Sheer horsepower put him by Bonnet on that move, and here's Cale Yarborough moving on the inside, picking up the draft of Baker. Baker's car perhaps has more horsepower than any car in the field, Mike.
Cale Yarborough's got the draft going down the backstretch, and Yarborough goes for it at turn 3. Earnhardt running underneath him as Yarborough right on the bottom of the racetrack trying for the lead. Can't get it. There's a great concern here about tires in this race. The track has been recently resurfaced, and several of the crew chiefs have been wondering if their tires will hold up and may have made chassis adjustments accordingly. Baker, though, is the class of the field so far. Earnhardt riding right on his bumper as they come out of the trioval and down to the start-finish line. Heading for turn 1, 3 cars wide. Bobby Allison, bottom of the racetrack, tried to climb up through the field as 9 cars fight for the lead. Head into that lead draft is Dale Earnhardt. It's a 9-car freight train with pole sitter David Pearson playing the caboose. Here is Baker in the backstretch looking for the lead again. He's got Bonnet in tow, and they stream underneath Dale Earnhardt as they go into turn number 3. Bottom of the racetrack challenging Earnhardt, the black and yellow number 68 is Lenny Pond, who won the fastest race ever run here 2 years ago at almost 175 miles an hour. but Pond is being sucked back through the field. The way the draft works here at Talladega, you can lead one lap and be running back in 10th spot the next. Buddy Baker with Neil Bonnet trying to establish a two-car breakaway draft. Let's check in on pit road at the Baker pit.
Mike, I'm with Waddell Wilson, crew chief on Buddy Baker's car. Waddell, has everything been going to your expectations so far?
Well, so far we haven't encountered any problems.
How about the tire wear? Some people were concerned about it here today.
Well, we can go a fuel stop on the tires without any trouble.
Waddell Wilson's pit work was the key to winning the 500 for his driver. Buddy Baker currently in the lead in car number 28. He has a lot of fast company right behind him. Neil Bonnet in second. Dale Earnhardt is third. The 43 of Richard Petty is fourth, working the outside as they come through the tri-oval with Benny Parsons right behind.
And Mike, one reason that Petty is pulling out the way that he is to give his car a little bit of breathing. He gets some fresh air into it. If he runs too close on the bumper of another car, they just don't get the fresh air inside that they need for the engine.
Ned, Darrell Waltrip's team has called it a day. The camshaft in the engine of their Oldsmobile has broken. Waltrip has 25 career Grand National victories. He won't get number 26 this afternoon. Back up front, Buddy Baker leads the Alabama 500 into the tri-oval area. Neil Bonnet is second, Dale Earnhardt third, Richard Petty is fourth, and Benny Parsons, the fifth of 9 cars that dice for the lead. Baker up front, and Earnhardt goes to the outside around Neil Bonnet to take over second.
And that's the long way around, but he was able to pick up the draft of Baker as he went into the turn and pull right up on his bumper.
Out of turn number 2 and into the backstretch, 3,400 feet, and they cover over a football field a second. Ned, the cars look like they're bouncing around a lot on the new pavement.
Actually, what is happening is the air turbulence off of the other cars that is causing them to bounce around as they come off of the turn.
Smooth pavement and rough air at 200 miles an hour. Out of the 5-story high banking of turn 4 and heading for what the drivers say is the toughest part of the racetrack. The dogleg or tri-oval is banked only 18 degrees, and right here, the drivers say it feels like that part of the track is banked the wrong way. And it leads in that short shot to the start finish. Earnhardt takes to the high side again and will try to put Buddy Baker back to the second spot. Neil Bonnet of the 21 car works the high side and drop kicks Baker to third. Earnhardt, brash young newcomer. He's outspoken like Darrell Waltrip, but he drives with his foot to the floor, as does Baker. He has the lead in this 9-car freight train draft where aerodynamics is so important. Ned Jarrett looks at the fine points.
At the speeds they run here, the aerodynamic design of the automobile is very important. One way to accomplish that and what they want is to put the front end of the car lower than the back end. This lets the air flow smoothly over the car and put the right pressure at the right point. And what helps make this possible is this spoiler. Air goes in here, puts pressure on the front end, which holds the front end down. And then you'll notice how much detail is put. They move the bumper back as close as they can to the body of the car. They even put screen over the grill to keep as little amount of air as possible going into the engine area, because that would tend to slow the car down. The sides of the car, everywhere there is a little creek or a crevice, they fill it in to make the air flow as smoothly as possible, and of course that helps them to run faster. And then of course on the rear there's a spoiler which helps to hold the back end of the car down, and that offsets the pressure that is put down on the front by this spoiler.
Dale Earnhardt has the lead. The car you just saw, Ned Jarrett. Speak of the aerodynamics. No spoilers even work at highway speeds, Ned. They're starting to show up on some production cars.
Yes, they do, as aerodynamics become very important for fuel saving.
Well, at 55 they work, but at 200 miles an hour, they are critical. Neil Bonnet breaks out of the draft and goes to the inside of the back straightaway. Cale Yarborough just about pushes him into turn number 3. And Benny Parsons scuttles along to the bottom of the racetrack. Those cars take over the front spots. Bonnet in the lead. The 11 of Yarborough in second, the 27 of Parsons is third, and Earnhardt has been dropped all the way back to 4th position. Into the tri-oval, and Yarborough dives to the inside for the lead. Parsons is right with him, and Bonnet, in the space of half a lap, will go from 3rd to 1st to all the way back to 4th spot. Cale Yarborough leads them through the 33-degree banking of turns 1 and 2. Benny Parsons in second. They're in Oldsmobiles.
Mike, we're standing by with Junior Johnson, who is a Hall of Fame member himself, winner of 50 Grand National races. Is everything going okay, as well as you had expected?
Yeah, Ned, we thought we might have a little tire problem to start with, but the tires look pretty good now. We're up to about 45 laps, so I think, you know, everything go all right. If we can just, you know, keep everything together, we'll be pretty good shape.
One team not in good shape is Bobby Allison's. He's in the pits with the hood up.
And this is an unscheduled pit stop as Bud Moore, the crew chief, who has won 4 races here at Talladega, goes underneath looking at what looks like to be a clutch problem.
In the pits at Talladega, when the cars are running 200 miles an hour, you lose a lot of time. Oh, trouble in turn 4. Don Whittington's car slides down off the banking. The front end is all a crumple and the caution flag is out. Whittington has tangled with Bill Ellswick, who had blown an engine, was coasting around on the track apron. There you see Whittington, the World Challenge for Endurance Drivers champion, climb out of the car and scramble to safety. Under the caution flag at the Alabama 500, Don Whittington has raced in and won with 500-mile-an-hour fighter planes and turbocharged Porsches, but his first season in stock car racing has been a tough one. It's also been a tough day for Dave Marcus, who managed to tag the backstretch wall with his Oldsmobile. Under the caution period, many of the top teams have visited pit road for fuel and tires. For the reason the caution came out, let's go to Ned Jarrett.
Mike World Endurance Champion Don Whittington is out of it now. Don, what happened?
Millen 3, the engine let go in the middle of the thing, and when it did, the oil got on the tires, and I tried to steer by the guy up there, and, you know, I couldn't do it. I just locked it to the left and tried to get it up high. There was a guy down low, and I tagged him, and, you know, then unfortunately nobody else hit me, and I didn't hit anybody else. And
Sort of a wild ride, though.
yeah, it really was. The last thing I expected all day was an engine to let go, and the car was running real good, and I was getting to know it a little bit as the race went on, and heck, I was real happy with the car. It was doing real good, and I think we could have been there. Just one of those things.
You can hear the disappointment in Whittington's voice as the remains of his ex-A.J. Foyt car is pushed back to the garage. Here's the machine that he hit. Rookie Bill Ellswick's car didn't fare much better. But Ellswick, walking around the garage area, looks to be unhurt. Light is out on the caution car field, set to get back to green flag racing, but for one car sitting in the pits.
Well, Mike, as you can see, Dave Marcus is up inside the car, actually doing some of the body work himself. A 10-pound sledgehammer he's using, trying to straighten out that right front so he can get back in this race.
Marcus is taking out as much of his frustration as he is the dents on that fender. Green flag is out, and David Pearson will lead the crowd to their feet and the charge back to the line. Pace car dives onto pit road, and Pearson puts Hoss Ellington's #1 car in the #1 position. Neil Bonnet rides second. In the 21 car, the 11 of Cale Yarborough is third. Ty Scott in the #30 machine has the 4th position. Tight draft up into the turn 1 and 2 banking. Pearson, high part of the racetrack. Neil Bonnet right behind him in the Wood Brothers Mercury. 1 year ago, Pearson was driving the Wood Brothers car. They parted company and Bonnet got the ride. Here he trails the driver who for many years sat in what most people feel is the first chair in motorsports.
And he's doing a beautiful job of drafting with that Mercury. As we said earlier, is one of the best drafting cars in the field. That's the car number 21, following the car number 1 of David Pearson.
Front 4 cars trying to break away. Richard Petty is in the 5th position. And that draft will work some 10 or 20 car lengths back. So the field begins to tighten up. Up into the high 33-degree bankings, 5 stories high. Pearson swings his Oldsmobile ahead of Bonnet's Mercury and the Olds of Cale Yarborough. Those 3 cars trying to put some separation on the field. Ty Scott in 4th, Richard Petty in 5th. But down the backstretch, the Talladega Draft begins to work, and here is Buddy Baker, who made a late pit stop on the end of that caution period. He's right now in 13th position. Trying to move up on rookie driver Lake Speed in the 66 machine at the bottom of the racetrack, and Dick Brooks in car number 7. Brooks leads Buddy Baker for now 11th and 12th positions. Baker looks to the low side, can't find the racing room at the start-finish line. Into turn number 1, Baker goes to the bottom. Running with Brooks for 11th spot at just under 200 miles an hour. Out of turn 2 and down the 3,400-foot backstretch, Baker's car was the class of the field in the early going.
And he's just showing how much horsepower that car really has, Mike, as he comes up through the field.
Back up front, David Pearson leads that tight draft with Neil Bonnet in second, Cale Yarborough third in the 11 car, and Richard Petty has moved around Ty Scott to take fourth in car number 43. Dale Earnhardt has swung into the 5th spot. Baker now goes to work on rookie point leader Jody Ridley in the number 90 car, a Mercury. Ridley runs in the 9th position as Baker goes around the outside to move up in the top 10. Pearson continues to lead, and it's still a tight 3-car draft ahead of Petty and Dale Earnhardt. How tight? They're running closer together than most people park at 200 miles an hour. Buddy Baker goes under Terry Labonte, and he will pick up the 8th position. And around Richard Petty, and Petty looks very slow at the bottom of the racetrack.
Something has happened to his car.
Back up front, Pearson is waiting for no one but Bonnet, and Yarborough will not shake loose. They've opened up about a 10-car length separation on the 4th place machine. That'll be Dale Earnhardt now in 4th.
And Mike, here's Richard Petty coming down pit road, an unscheduled pit stop for the 7-time national champion. Dale Inman, Maurice Petty go to work. Maurice Petty looking at the rear of the car. Now he's raising the deck lid as others raise the hood of the car. And Maurice Petty looks up.
He says, shut it off. Richard Petty is out of this race, but we'll be back with more in a moment. At the $315,000 Alabama 500, David Pearson's Oldsmobile battles Neil Bonnet in a Mercury and Cale Yarborough's Olds for the front 3 positions. Dale Earnhardt is in 4th with Ty Scott in the 5th spot. Benny Parsons in 6th. They're part of an 8-car battle for the lead in the back straightaway as they lap by Cecil Gordon's machine. 8th is Buddy Baker, who moves to the inside on the 68 machine of Lenny Pond. Baker takes over 7th. He handles well at the bottom of the racetrack, and Ned Jarrett, he has tremendous power.
I think he has more horsepower than any car in the field, Mike. He just plants his foot in it as it goes on the inside of the track, and really that's where he takes the most horsepower, but he just seems to have it every time he goes down there now as he tries to move on the inside of Benny Parsons.
Tricky place to pass the tri-oval area, and they go back to single file past the start-finish line, but Baker goes back on the charge at the bottom of the racetrack at turn 1, underneath the 27 of Benny Parsons. Past Ty Scott, and now challenges the 2 of Dale Earnhardt. That's for the 4th position. Baker is really flying. Bonnet in the backstretch goes low on David Pearson, headhunting for the lead. Baker stays glued to the low side against Earnhardt, and Baker takes over the 4th spot. Trouble out of turn 4. Bobby Waywack explodes the engine in his Dodge, but Baker is not letting up. He's still standing on it, working underneath Cale Yarborough. Yarborough has let off as they go through the smoke screen in the tri-oval area. Baker stays on the throttle, and he will follow Neil Bonnet to the caution flag, moving all the way up to 2nd position. A bold move for Buddy Baker puts him up into the 2nd spot as Bobby Waywack's car coasts down pit road like a burned-out rocket settling back to the launch pad. Waywack rolls his Dodge into the garage area, where standing by is Ned Jarrett with Stock Car Racing's all-time winner.
Well, Mike, Richard Petty is coming out of his car. He just pulled it into the garage area with that famous rag in his mouth. Richard, what went wrong?
I think threw the main bearings out of it. It started smelling a little bit and seizing up, so we just come on in.
Well, the champ, 7 times, is out of it here today.
There's been a lot of engine trouble here today. Darrell Waltrip, Bobby Allison, Harry Gant, Marty Robbins, and Richard Petty are out of the race with engine trouble. Here also Jim Vandiver. Ned Jarrett tells us how they get 700 horsepower out of basically stock engines.
Horsepower is perhaps more important on this racetrack than any because of the high speeds they run here. They get upwards of 700 horsepower out of these racing engines. Your street passenger car might not have over 250. One way that they get that is by reworking the cylinder heads on the engine. This is a stock cylinder head, similar to what you'd have in your street car, and you can see the difference in the intake valve here, the size, and the intake valve on the racing engine. There's also a difference in the combustion area, the size of it, the amount of compression that it has as compared to the stock one. They also do a lot of what they call porting and relieving, in other words, smoothing up where the gasoline flows in and, of course, where the compression comes out.
Back under green at 200 miles an hour. Those engines straining to the limit. It is Cale Yarborough in front of the number 11. Buddy Baker's 28 is second, and the 2 of Dale Earnhardt is third, all Oldsmobile. As are David Pearson's fourth place car and Lenny Pond in fifth. Yarborough had about a 5-car length margin through the turn, but Baker narrows that down in the long back straightaway and goes for the lead as they hit turn 3. Baker just outpowered Cale Yarborough going into the turn.
Another sign of the strength of that Oldsmobile. He's going to be tough to beat here tonight if that car stays together.
Earlier this year, Baker won the Daytona 500 with this car, the fastest 500-mile race ever run, at over 175 miles an hour average. Dale Earnhardt, riding in second, already has 2 wins this season.
And here's Neil Bonney coming into the pits in the Wood Brothers Mercury, an unscheduled pit stop for him. They're not changing tires or putting in gasoline.
Well, they're not doing much of anything.
No, they aren't. It looks like Neil Bonnet is going to be out of it here today.
Engine troubles have plagued the Wood Brothers at Talladega. Bonnet led a lot of this race last year, but it looks like today will not be his.
And Cale Yarborough is slowing down on the inside of the track as David Pearson goes around him. Here's Bonnet. He's out of his car as they push the Mercury back to the garage area.
Well, that takes the last of the 3 Alabama gang out of the race. Bobby and Donnie Allison and Neil Bonnet have all fallen by the wayside. Mike Joy with Ned Jarrett at the Alabama 500. We're watching a tremendous battle between veteran driver, Daytona 500 winner Buddy Baker in the 28 car, and Dale Earnhardt, second-year driver in car number 2, who takes the lead away from Baker at turn 3. Earnhardt showing some muscle in the closing stages of this race as Cale Yarborough rolls along back in the 7th spot. A bit slower than he'd like to be. Let's find out why.
Cale Yarborough is dropping back. We're here with Junior Johnson. Junior, what's his problem?
Then he dropped the cylinder. He died on 7 cylinder.
Is he going to be able to run on?
Well, it'll determine what happened to it. If it's broke a push rod or rock arm or something like that, it won't bother it. But if it's, something internally, it'll finally tear up.
Even on 7 cylinders, Cale Yarborough's trying to stay in the lead lap, and he's only about 20 miles an hour off the pace set by the leaders. The battle for third shows David Pearson in the number 1 car, racing the 68 of Lenny Pond for 3rd and 4th position. Pond 2 years ago won the fastest race ever here. Don't count either of those 2 drivers out. Up front, Buddy Baker gives Earnhardt a lesson in passing into the 3rd turn as Baker dives low, brings his Oldsmobile up into the middle groove and back into the lead.
Mike, when I was racing, we would test each other out, particularly towards the end of the race, to find out where we could pass best, and they might be doing that now.
Each driver has tried and won at turn 3. That has been the favorite passing point this afternoon. As past the start-finish line and into turn 1 again, both Baker and Earnhardt running 1 and 2.
And Mike, they got pit stops coming up before too long. They cannot go the rest of the way without making a pit stop, and if it comes under the green, it's going to be a real test for the men in the pits.
Well, Baker has Waddell Wilson pitting his number 28 car, one of the best in the business. His strategy helped Baker win the Daytona 500 in February, while Earnhardt has Jake Elder, who's been in victory lane with many a different driver, and now has crewed Earnhardt to 2 wins this year. Lake Speed, rookie driver, moves underneath Baker. This could be the signal that they'll be headed for the pits.
Yes, they are. They're slowing down now as they come down pit road, and Earnhardt follows Baker right into the pits. They're pitting close together on pit road so that they can sort of keep an eye on each other.
This is a good move because if both drivers come out together, they'll be able to link up in a draft again. If you get off pit road without benefit of the draft at Talladega, the day might as well be over.
And the draft is always a key here. They're changing right side tires on Buddy Baker's car, right side tires on Earnhardt's car. He's already down on that side waiting for them to get the gas filled up so he can move out, and he's away, and they only change the right side tires on the Dale Earnhardt car. So he beats Baker out of the pits.
Baker is still on pit road.
They're changing all 4 tires on Buddy Baker's car, a strategy move by Waddell Wilson, but will it work?
This could be costly as Baker trails Earnhardt by a wide margin.
Jake, you only changed the right side tires. Why not all 4?
Well, I feel like right now we don't have to change the left sides because right now I believe he can run just as fast with the left side as he can 4 brand new ones right now.
Can you go the rest of the way without another pit stop?
Yeah.
Jake Elder has made a bold gamble. By giving Earnhardt only 2 tires, he's gained precious seconds on the racetrack.
And here's the pole sitter, David Pearson, in for what should be his last pit stop.
Pit work means time on the racetrack, but also money in the pit crew's pocket, as a separate contest is set up to keep track of the least amount of time any of the top 10 crews can spend on pit road during the race. Buddy Baker, second place car, number 28. He has a lot of ground to make up, but 4 fresh tires to do it with. There's the leader, Dale Earnhardt. Second-year driver, can he hang on to that lead? We're in the closing laps of the Alabama 500. Car number 2, Dale Earnhardt. Brash, young second-year driver, has a sizable lead over Buddy Baker. His stop for only 2 tires has put him well ahead of Baker, but Baker has 4 fresh tires and is rapidly running down Dale Earnhardt. After that last round of pit stops, Ned Jarrett is standing by in the pits with Buddy Baker's crew chief.
Waddell, Dale Earnhardt chose to change 2 tires. You chose to change all 4.
Well, I don't want to take a chance on a driver's life. And right now, you know, we're gaining on him. We've cut it from 18 seconds to 8 seconds, so maybe we'll come out ahead, maybe we'll not. But if I had to do it over with, I'd do the same thing again.
Ned, theoretically, how much faster should Baker be with 4 fresh tires?
On most racetracks, the fresh tires are worth a good half a second a lap.
Earnhardt tries to extend his lead, moving past Childress at Cuckoo Marlin. Dale Earnhardt, is your strategy for the closing laps pretty much the same as it's been for the whole rest of the race?
Well, sort of like a card game. You play what you dealt, and sometimes during the race you're dealt a bad hand, you know, with a bad pit stop or something happen, you have to make unscheduled pit stop. So if things go pretty much, you know, like they're planned, you know, you run about the same strategy all the whole race.
Buddy Baker is indeed reeling in Earnhardt at the rate of about a half a second a lap. The difference is tires. Baker took on 4, while Earnhardt got only 2 fresh tires on the last pit stop. Baker was 18 seconds behind, and now he has closed to within the same straightaway as the leader. As Earnhardt rolls up into turn number 3, Baker is hurtling down the backstretch at over 200 miles an hour. Earlier this morning, Ned Jarrett talked with Buddy Baker and had a chance to ask him, what's your strategy if this all boils down to the last few laps?
Well, Ned, the main thing is to be at the right place at the right time. There's no real strategy because the cars run so evenly here that the draft plays a big part.
And they have now closed to within 15 car lengths. Ned, the difference, part of that must be horsepower.
No question about it. Baker has shown a tremendous amount of horsepower all day.
Earnhardt trying to hold on to that lead as Buddy Baker closes in. Baker with tremendous horsepower, and power is the key in the high banks of Talladega. The battle for third, David Pearson, the number 1 car, with Ty Scott and Lenny Pond still very much in the thick of things. As out of turn number 4, Earnhardt now leads by only 6 car lengths. Earlier today, we've seen Baker lead in the tri-oval and take the lead at turn 3.
There's Baker's son, Brandon, looking on, cheering his dad.
Turn 3 has been the favorite passing point of Buddy Baker today. 3 laps to go at turns 1 and 2. Baker follows Earnhardt on a string through the first and second turn, and now dives low on the racetrack. Where he has not made a challenge for the lead today, Baker goes to the bottom of the track at turn 2. He will try to out-drag Dale Earnhardt down the backstretch. And on horsepower alone, Buddy Baker retakes the lead in the Alabama 500. Up through the high bankings of turn 3 and 4. Baker is in front. Down on pit road, what does Jake Elder think of all this, Ned Jarrett?
You think the difference is tires?
All right, well, I don't know. I think Baker's engine is strong on us right now because he showed all week he's a little faster than we are.
And Baker is a little bit faster right now. He has the lead with just 2 laps to go. Just about 5 miles left in this Talladega, Alabama 500. But Earnhardt, remember, has the advantage of the draft. 2 cars working together faster than one alone, and Earnhardt could slingshot. How about it, Buddy Baker? Where do you want to be on the last lap here?
I saw the best of them lose races here on the last lap because you just got to be in the right place. Slow cars can get in front of you, and you go high and they move high and you have to back out of it. There's so many things that can happen that there's no real strategy. You just hope that you're in the right place when it happens.
Next time by the start-finish line, 500 miles will be decided in just one lap. Through the tri-oval area and heading for Harold Kinder's white flag. Dale Earnhardt, where do you want to be on this lap?
Well, I don't really want to be leading it, but I like to have being second or third, have a good shot at running at the leader.
Earnhardt has a great shot out of turn number 2. Heading into the backstretch, 3,400 feet of runway for Earnhardt to work the draft, but slow car ahead. Buddy Arrington is in the low groove. Earnhardt cannot move down and slingshot on the inside. He looks, not enough room. Baker holds him off, forms the box around Arrington, and Earnhardt has to rethink his strategy. That was the primary passing point. Here they come, pounding out of turn 4. The fans are on their feet. Last time by and into the tricky tri-oval. Earnhardt feints high and goes low, right to the bottom of the racetrack, onto the track apron. Earnhardt draws closer, ever closer, but Baker will win the race by 3 feet. Buddy's son Brandon can't believe how close the finish was, as Buddy Baker has defeated Dale Earnhardt by just about the length of a fender. Here's David Pearson in the number 1 car, coming across to take the 3rd position. Pearson was the pole sitter, but fell out of the draft after the final pit stop. A jubilant Buddy Baker heads his Oldsmobile for pit road and victory lane. Lenny Pond picked up the 4th position, and Ty Scott rounded out the top 5. For Baker, it's his 2nd win of the 1980 season, but he's won the 2 biggest races thus far, the Daytona 500 in February and here at Talladega. Ned Jarrett is standing by in victory lane as Baker pulls in, and he'll be taking a minute to get his composure. He's 39 years old and was the first driver to exceed 200 miles an hour on this racetrack. He looks tired after a hard 500 miles on the world's fastest speedway. Ned Jarrett is standing by in victory lane as Buddy Baker composes himself. We'll be going to victory lane in just a moment. Buddy Baker has won the 11th annual Alabama 500 by a margin of 3 feet. Let's go to victory lane.
Buddy Baker, congratulations on a fine run.
Thank you, Ned. We had to earn this one. I'll guarantee you that deal was all anybody wanted to handle. But there at the end, my car seemed to stick in the corners a little bit better than Dale, and I was able to make up some time. But I was just real pleased with the race car, and I don't know if they ever had one any closer than that one.
Well, as you came off of that 4th turn, knowing that he was going to make that move, try to get around you, what were your thoughts?
I just hoped I could hold him off. I didn't block his racetrack. He had somewhere to run, and he just couldn't quite make it.
Did you bend that full board down a little further?
Yeah, I imagine it's right up even with the race motor right now, but I've won several races from leading the last lap. I'd rather be there than take a chance of going back.
Well, he was there, he stayed there, and he got the job done, and he's certainly big enough to push that pedal down just as hard as he needs to, and it was hard enough here today.
Despite 6 caution flags, Baker's winning average speed was still 171.4 miles per hour. There were 39 lead changes among 12 different drivers. That ties a Talladega record. Let's go back to Ned Jarrett. He's with the driver that almost won the race.
Well, they say first place is the only place to be, and Dale Earnhardt, that's where you were really trying to get.
We ran our best all day. Buddy ran hard and I ran hard. We both, I think, deserved it to win, but it's just a little strong we were that last lap, and he just beat out.
Well, you almost did it. Did you wait too late to make you move, or what do you think?
Well, I wanted to make it down the backstretch, really, but Buddy Arrington was on the inside, and I know Baker would pull me down on him, so I really just didn't try it. And I just had to make my shot on the front straightaway and do the best I could. Jake Elder and the crew did a super job all day, and they pulled some good strategy on the last pit stop, and we had that little lead over Buddy, and he's just strong enough to come back and catch us.
For the 2nd year in a row, over 100,000 people have jammed into Talladega to see another Talladega trademark finish in this Alabama 500. From a purse of $315,000, Buddy Baker will go home with $32,000 for defeating Dale Earnhardt. For Ned Jarrett, I'm Mike Joy. That's the story of the Alabama 500.